And one, two, three, and three. Yeah. Yeah. It's Tuesday. We got some days before Christmas.
Just a couple or a week, but who's counting? I see you're festive. You got on the red. So does your Christmas tree.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, my Christmas tree is adorned with the reds that I
And
love, and then even my bigger Christmas tree with all of the lights. Yes, it's the
yay!
most wonderful time. No, I'm
Got
not gonna do
red
that
on the
for y'all.
tree, and the tree is green, and you black. So sounds good. My three favorite colors.
And I have to say, some of my red is definitely in this opening. Let's go.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yay. Dun-dun-dun. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, we are back. We are back. It
and
is
better than
talk
ever.
and back and better than ever.
Yeah.
Talk on Tuesdays. If I could just find the okay, here she is. All right.
Here she is, right there.
The
Cry
coach
on.
and we're celebrating. You
We're
know what? I
always
think
celebrating.
we're already
You-
celebrating. I think we're gonna have to change the numbers soon.
I
I think
think,
we're at
I
100.
mean, we gotta
Yeah.
be near 150, 200 by now since we've been running that. It's been a while. So take a
I
break for inspiration and motivation. You can listen to Interludes on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on that multicolored thing on
it
the
would be
side, which
Google.
gotta be Google.
It's Google. It's Google. We're
I Googled
available.
it. That's how I found out.
Right. So we have our YouTube channel and we
I'm just
are
playing
on LinkedIn and our
Google Play.
Facebook private group. And then also we are on Pod TV, Roku
That's
channel.
public.
Thank you so very much, Mark Lee. We appreciate you so very
Mark
much. And
Lee, Mr. Lee, he's been quiet. He's been quiet. I think he'll probably stick his head back up. Since the Carolina Panthers are back to almost being a football team. You know,
I don't know why you're throwing shade, but anyway,
I'm throwing shade
fine.
because I'm trying to get a reaction. That's why I throw
Find
shade.
okay, I don't know why that page goes away so quickly. Find your voice. This is what I'm trying to do. A podcasting course for beginners.
That's
It's going to
right.
be
It's a
launching
test.
soon, just before the new year.
Find your voice,
Okay.
Val, and read it faster.
I can't. I
Before the
can't. I
page
can't.
goes away.
I can't. I can't. Good evening, Wise. It's so good to see you and see you in the chat. I
So
appreciate you.
good to
Now I'm
be
going to be
seen.
doing this. I'm looking for. I gotta go and skip some things, and I see Mr. Springer is in the building. Hello, Mr.
Yeah,
Springer.
yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So what I wanted to
Representing that
do is
NYC.
I get and thank you so much for putting that in the chat. I appreciate that, Mr. Springer. Well, I'm happy to let you guys know that over the weekend I was doing some city hopping.
Now I
I was
noticed
doing
you
some,
did that after the election was done. Seems pretty interesting timing. You waited till Warnock got it all clear, and then you headed down there.
and then I headed to Atlanta. I had to make sure things were okay before I showed up, because if I showed up and there was another person that was in there, I don't know what I
Yeah,
would have done. But
yeah.
I
Nobody
I'm
wants to
very
get
happy.
pregnant by
I'm
Herschel Walker.
I'm very happy to let you guys know that I got honored with an award. Isn't that cute?
So if you want Val the Voice to come to your town, just give her an award, and she will come to your city no matter where it is, London, Cairo, Dubai. She'll show up for that. What up? What
So
Okay.
on behalf of the Matthew Business Network, they are one of my clients. I went to Tampa and they gave me a beautiful award, and I was really happy to go ahead and
Oh, you went to
receive it.
Tampa?
I went to Tampa. So yeah, so I'm going out of order right now. So myself and that young man right there, he's a professor in Kentucky. That is Mr. Sherrod Ledet. He's been one of our guests on Interludes. We do a hosting service
Yes.
for
Fuck.
the Matthew Business Network, and then we got honored with our awards. And I want to thank you guys for doing that. And then, but I first went to Atlanta. That's what I did. Yeah, that's right. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Springer. Congratulations on the award. Thank you so very much. I'm taking up all these congratulations. Oh my gosh. And then I got a chance to meet.
So
Now,
modest.
Wise is in the audience right now, but
So
he's there in
modest.
the picture. So I was
And
in I was
I recognize the bow tie.
you recognize the bow tie. So we were in, I met those guys in Atlanta, and the gentleman that's over to
Yeah.
the far right, that is Coach G. That would be G Hightower, the entanglement coach. He has been on our platform. He helped when you were not here.
Time out, time out, time out,
Yeah.
time out, time
So
out.
sorry. Yes.
Time out.
What's wrong?
So
What happened?
we
What
need
happened?
a coach to help us get entangled.
No, we need a coach to help us get untangled. I'm gonna
Oh my
ask
goodness, because that that
exactly.
that
So
that I got. That makes
right,
sense.
exactly. So
You said the entanglement coach. I'm just like, I don't think you need a coach for that. That seems
no,
too
no.
easy, probably dangerously easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me
Okay.
explain who's in the picture. So the first person is Gerald. That's the G High Tower. Then there's Mama T, Terry. She has a oh gosh, I got the sauce way away from me, but
You got
she
sauce.
has I got, she has sauce. Then there's Wise, and then there's me. So we were at this event called Outpour in Atlanta, and Mr. Hightower, Dr. Hightower, went ahead and hosted us. He's got a lot of titles: Coach, Doctor, G.
What's funny is
What's so funny?
I see her hat and I see the shade around her face, but I can
Hmm.
still make out them cheeks.
That's
I
right.
still see
She's
them. They
she
still coming through, huh?
Mama T got some beautiful cheeks. So guess
I
what? Uh,
sees them. I
Michael,
sees
Michael,
them.
guess what? Michael, guess what?
What? What?
All of us met each other on Clubhouse, and that was our first time seeing each other in person.
Wow. Okay.
Yay!
That's what I call
Yay!
social media.
And I was gonna have more pictures because, but I'm sitting up here like I apologize. I had more
No. There
pictures
we
to
go. All
show.
right.
However, I was a little sleepy
You
from
were
my two trip
sleepy.
situation, so I wanted to make
So
sure
the
that
Tampa. So how long were you in Tampa?
I was in Tampa for it was weird. I was in first I was in Atlanta Friday through
Okay.
Sunday, and then
Um,
I was in Tampa from Sunday through today. I actually flew back this afternoon. So
okay.
yeah.
I have not. I've never been to Tampa. What's that like?
Tampa was beautiful.
Okay.
Lots of palm trees, lots of green, lush. I didn't really get a chance to go out and venture too much myself, and I got a chance to go and do some lunch with a few folks.
Okay.
And I was very happy. It was like an award ceremony. So when I got this award, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. So, but
What
take
you
it like
eat in
this.
Tampa? What do you eat in Tampa?
You
What
eat
kind of food
regular
is that?
food. You eat
I,
regular
no,
food.
is it known for something? I mean, I'm completely ignorant at Tampa. I've
It,
known people that live there. I just never got to visit them while they were there. So,
Tampa's known for its sportsmanship. It's known for the Buccaneers,
well,
Tampa Bay.
I've heard of them. They have a quarterback named Tom something. Yes, I know
Hmm.
they are. Okay,
Exactly.
familiar with
Uh,
that. They also have the Lightning as their hockey team. So, I
and
mean, I just
right and
know food.
yes.
What
So,
we eat
but
there.
this was now I've been to Florida a couple of times. However, this was the first time I was on that side of Florida that actually
Yeah,
faces
I'm
the
told that's
Gulf.
different. I'm told that's
It's
different.
it's different. It's different. But I will say this: people were very friendly. People were very nice. It was warm. I left 70 degrees. It was 73, 74 degrees when I was taking off, and I landed back and it was 37 degrees. Like it's
Okay.
like the numbers reversed. It was very weird.
So while you were down in Florida, did you get down to Mar-a-Lago?
Absolutely not. I had no interest in going.
I heard they have interesting dinners down there where you get to
I,
meet the guest of honor and have dinner with them. You
so
didn't get it. You didn't get one of those. You didn't get that
I did not.
treatment,
I did not get an invite,
the
and
presidential treatment.
I was very happy with my award.
Well, I'm happy with your award too. I just wondered, since you were down in Florida, if you got the presidential treatment, or maybe you came across some, top secret documents or something.
Oh no, I did. I didn't. I didn't. I
No.
didn't come. I didn't come across anything crazy like that. But you know what? What I did come across, and this is what I'm always happy to do. Michael is always recommending excellent shows and things to check out, and we definitely
Okay.
here on Talk on Tuesdays love to do that type of thing where we let you know, hey, you should probably check this out. And was reading. I was on the airplane, and Michael told me about a new show that is on Amazon Prime called Riches. And let me go ahead and get to it right here. Okay, there we go. And so let me, okay, come on, honey. So, Michael, how did you find out about this? This is to me, Succession is how it's being compared to, if anyone has watched the HBO.
Really?
Yes, yes, it's been compared to that. And then what I was kind of the lay of the land of this show is it's a Nigerian family called
Mm-hmm.
the Richards, and it's what is this? The Fair and Glory owner
Flair and glory.
is named Stephen Richards, and unfortunately, something happens, and then there's a lot of family infighting with the Richards. I was thinking I was being invoked by. I was thinking about what was that? What was our favorite Empire? The show Empire,
Okay,
and
there's a comparison I can understand. Okay, it's Succession.
mhm.
No,
You don't
Empire.
understand that?
Yes,
Okay,
this
all
is
right, right,
Empire in Britain with Nigerians. Done.
yeah, right. So that right.
There's
So
your
the
elevator. Synopsis right there. But
so this
but
is
it's like the good Empire. Like you
mhm,
remember like the first two seasons of Empire before it got like
yeah,
real weird
and
and
it
it
got
jumped the
went weird.
shark. And then he
Uh-huh.
like was painting by numbers or smell or whatever it was toward the end. That was all strange. And then they had Neo come on without a hat, which alarmed people. So this is like good Empire. And it's even better than that because it brings in the diaspora. It's based out of London, so you get to in a way kind of travel. It much better than like a Emily in Paris where you get to see Paris and it's like you could just Google Paris. All right, so this show is it's awesome. It brings in lots of ideas. I love the kind of international feel of it. They bounce back from New York to London, back and forth, back and forth. But it gives you this family, these really interesting characters. And Nollywood, of course, has been growing in its popularity over the last several
Very much
years. And
so.
certainly,
Mhm.
certainly streaming services like Netflix and Amazon have helped in that way. But Val, the voice, I remember back a gazillion years ago when BET had they would like occasionally bring on these comedies and they were British and it was like really cool. It was like, oh man, the diaspora, like we are pan African, we just don't acknowledge it. And this show is just, I mean, the writing is kind of first rate. It's 6 episodes and it gives you this great perspective. What did you think of it?
All right, so what I'm gonna do is go right to who is the lead actress in here. I'll make sure I have it right. Deborah Irolinde. She
Mm-hmm.
has been in Them, and a few other things here, and she's been
Man.
kind of across the
Whew.
pond and back here.
You almost
She's a
had me there.
Nigerian. She's a Nigerian actress raised in London, and
Hmm.
so she's leading this cast very well. And
Yeah.
we have I have Sarah Hines. She plays the monarch, Claudia Richards. And then who plays her brother here on the screen, Simon Richards. This is Emmanuel Imani. He's hilarious. He kind of gives, I feel like he almost gives like a comic relief to the very serious situations that they're dealing with. And of course, just kind of that power struggle that's happening. And it and in the world of hair, I think this was such a apropos
Well,
riches
yeah,
to actually
fashion,
for the
fashion,
fashion
cosmetics.
and hair,
Yeah.
because they're dealing with something in the very beginning parts of this. I only got a chance to see the first couple of episodes,
Oh, I
but
watched the
I was
season. I couldn't stop.
yeah. You couldn't
I had
stop?
a
Yeah.
sleepless night there where I, went to sleep at 3 o'clock
You
in the
just
morning with the
you just kept
remote in my hand. It's like, but wait, what? And woke back up. It's like,
and
oh, okay, yeah,
and a
yeah,
lot of and a lot of ideas that are introduced in this is very similar to the power struggles and things that Black Americans have gone through. So to just kind of hear that same thing of,
yeah. Oh, it's just,
I've created something, and I've created a world of, like, I want to be someone that is over black hair. I want to be able to be the one that that provides conditioner and hair, instead of it being, no diss to L'Oreal or Revlon or any other, other cosmetics or hair products that are out there, but just kind of speaking to that, and just kind of knowing I've really identified with the two children that were the firstborn, and
mhm.
then kind of that infighting with the mothers left, because the
So
patriarch
yeah,
has passed away, and then you have
yeah.
the women dealing with that,
Let's
and
talk
talk
about
about that.
that just a little
Hmm.
bit,
Hmm.
just to touch on it in case people are wondering what we're saying here. So
Hmm.
the story is this: there is this empire,
Hmm.
this
Aha.
empire in the empire, right, back in the UK, and it's
Hmm.
based off of hair care as well as cosmetics for people of color. Nobody had ever served that audience, that group of people. So the first person that enters the market successfully becomes, fabulously rich. So this guy does so. He does so with his first family, partly, leaves his first wife, goes on X to the next wife, starts a whole new family, and that second family, they're the one that enjoy the riches of his work. This empire in the UK. The
Hmm.
first family, they're on the outside, they're in America. They know their dad is rich and powerful, but they watching it from the outside, or so it
Hmm.
seems, until
Hmm.
something happens and they are brought back home, and in one way they are brought back in, and they in one way supersede the secondary family and take power. So what are they going to do with this power? There's a mystery there of what happened to the father. There's some infighting. There's a
Hmm.
lot of internal kind of corporate politics
Hmm.
within there. So it has all of these various aspects to it, and at the same time, you kind of get this immigrant story, which, as Black Americans, we sort of miss because of our path to America. But for this family, they have that immigrant story coming into Britain and being treated in whatever way, but still being part of, an English culture, because Nigeria, you know, colonially, that was British. That's why they speak English. That's why they have that connection still, which we saw when the former queen passed away, and that was one of the countries. So
Yeah.
it gives
And
you
I and
all this insight, and it does so in an area that I think we kind of forget about.
We do, definitely, definitely. And and it's weird. I was also watching along with this the documentary on Netflix, and the Harry and Meghan documentary
Oh,
that's
they, they
on.
they they sucked you into that.
Yeah, I got sucked in. I got
Oh,
sucked in,
okay.
Yeah, so Kevin said in the
I have
chat,
a
if you has
voice.
anyone if anyone has gotten a chance to view Riches, please let us know here in the chat. But just I was watching it and just kind of thinking, oh goodness, so this is a thing in England. Like this is a thing where race matters, but you don't really talk about it. But Riches deals with it head on and definitely deals with that power struggle of I need to be seen and heard. I need to be respected. And it is my birthright. I heard that and that's kind of that. I love that battle that was definitely in Empire. So that's why it reminded me of that. And then definitely has that soapy feel to it. Now this is not for children. So I'm about to say it's for
Oh,
adults.
and before I forget, I love the music. Just
Music
and
is
the
oh
music
yes. Yes.
is
Yes.
awesome,
Yes.
and it just
Uh-huh.
prove you just get to hear these other sounds, this other kind of global music, and it fits the atmosphere and kind of feels the some of the episodes in a wonderful way. So
So let's
yeah,
so if you guys want to check it out, all 6 episodes are available on Amazon Prime. Riches.
which is well, I mean that's why they had the family name, right? I mean, you've been kind of mixing them up together. That's on purpose. The
That's right.
Richards are
Richards are
riches.
rich. Richie
Yes.
Rich. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I have to say this. I'm excited. I think Mr. Springer told us about this, and I said, well, in 2020, a lot of things just got postponed. It just didn't happen. You're sitting there, you thought you were going to go over here, you thought you were going to go over there, and I want to say one of my favorite artists is going to be, oh my goodness, touring. Initially, she was scheduled to tour in 2020, but our girl Janet Jackson, she announced on her IG, I believe it was either Sunday or Monday. I feel like it was it was this week. I do remember it was this week, and our girl that's in control, and she'll be doing a 2023 world tour, something that was
Look
postponed
at that
from
hair.
2020. Yeah, yeah.
Her hair looks like a waterfall. That's like a waterfall of weave. But the
so
wind came and just she would just float
yeah.
away.
So
Wow.
the name of her tour is going to be called Together Again, and I think on a
Luda.
couple of and Luda is going to be joining her
Oh
on
my.
a couple of tour dates, probably all of them, probably some of them. But when did she make her way to Chicago? Let me see. I know she gonna come to Chicago. Let me see. Let
Yeah,
me
because it's
see.
like
Let
three
me see.
people that if she don't, they're gonna
Mm.
find a way to get to her. I don't see it there, Val.
I don't see
Oh, there it is, Tinley
Chicago.
Park. Tinley Park. So
Finley Park.
she's gonna
Okay,
be out
that's
on the
close
south
to
side.
us. Okay,
South
that's close to
side.
the south side. Okay,
May
what date is
20
that? What date is that? What date is Tinley
May
Park?
20 something, 27th, it looks like.
Okay, so she'll be in our area, but she's gonna be in New York
Tinley Park.
on May 9th. Mm-hmm. Oh, good gracious! You know what I noticed? She's just not working on her birthday. Janet Jackson's birthday is May 16th, so I noticed that the 16th is
You
not
just
listed.
happen to know that. Super fan. Hello.
I'm a super fan. I love Janet
Just
Jackson.
happen to
So
know her birthday. Well, she gonna be
I
off on her
love
birthday. All right.
because we're both Tauruses. And not that I
What
really
about her
care about that
kid's
stuff.
birthday? She gonna be off for that too? You know that
I
too?
have no clue. But anyway, we just wanted to let you guys
I don't
know.
either.
Y said in the chat he has his ticket already because she's going to be
Wow.
in North Carolina.
Wow.
So that's so beautiful.
Have
And
have
May
you seen her
too.
before? You've seen her before, haven't you? At
I
what,
have.
Essence or somewhere?
I believe so. Yeah, I didn't see her at Essence. I saw her at another event. I forgot what it was, but it
Mm.
was I want to say in the 1990s when she was really,
I think
really
I
moving
saw the
stuff.
second I saw her second world tour. That's what I think.
Okay,
But that I'm
yeah,
not talking about anything pre control. I don't know. She's probably on the
right.
ground then, but
The
if you got
Velvet,
that, God bless you. I'm talking about
the
like Rhythm Nation. That's when I
The
saw.
Velvet, yeah, so the Velvet Rope tour is when I saw
Okay.
her. That's what because
Ooh.
I was thinking the
Ooh, okay.
90s. So
All
yeah, so
right.
that was going
Red
back.
hair. Okay.
Red hair, red hair. So
Okay.
guys, we're excited. She's coming back and
Does she
we ain't
look
gonna
like
let
that? Or is that just heavily, heavily airbrushed? Is that what she looks like now?
I don't
I mean, this is a pendulum. They swing back and forth. Cause see, I like Fat Janet. Fat Janet was my favorite.
Oh my
Janet
gosh.
with
Are
them
we
thighs,
are
when
we
her
doing
thighs
this
were like
right now?
pillows. I'm
Are
sorry,
we
what?
doing this right now? We're gonna talk about her being fat. Come on. I love Janet
I
Perry. It doesn't matter.
did you hear the other words I said?
Oh, what words would you say?
I said I love Fat Janet. Janet with those thighs. Those were the thighs that save lives. I remember that. She had that. She had on the knee pads, and she was doing the stuff in the warehouse, and nobody was there, but everybody wanted to be there. That was my Janet. That was my Janet. With we were ignorant back then, Val the Voice. I hope I don't get us all canceled. But she had
You
so-called
have
Puerto
Coach
Rican hair.
cracking up over here. You got Coach
Did she
cracking
have
up
Puerto
over here.
Rican hair?
Coach,
Oh, come
Coach,
on.
can you
That
save
was
us
the
right
Janet.
now? Coach,
She
can
had
you
on that.
save us
She had
right
that
now,
silky
man?
weave.
I don't
Her
Hey,
understand
hair,
Mike.
what's
her hair was
happening.
so. Oh my
What I'm
God, her hair was like a special color black that
I don't
I've yet to
understand
see
what's
in a
happening right now.
crayon or a marker. It was amazing. Her hair was like a black mirror. It was
Hey,
beautiful.
Val,
Woo!
what he meant to say was he like thick Janet.
Dick
Oh,
Janet. There you go. There
okay,
you
okay,
go.
okay.
Is that
We're
correct?
transitioning. We're
Better.
transitioning. We're transitioning right now. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Coach with the black jeans, with
Hey,
the black, they were jeans, right? I mean, they were so
well,
thin. I think that's a precursor to all these leggings that people
hey,
wear today. I
and
mean,
that's
she
what I
was
saw.
ahead of her time in that.
I saw the Control concert back at the house, Mike. That's about the
Woo!
last one I
Control.
seen.
I saw Rhythm Nation. I saw her sweat out so much, and she had on that white blouse and all that sweat, all that delicious, beautiful
Oh my gosh.
Jackson.
stuff was on her.
The
Was
Miss
on
Jackson.
her.
Hey, Miss Nancy. Hey, shut your mouth, man.
She didn't need no towel. I was here. I'm
Oh
like,
my
me?
gosh.
I don't
Okay.
need a towel.
He
Okay.
Whatever.
tripping.
Woo!
And to let you know, Val,
Good
to let
Lord.
you know, she's coming to Cashville, Tennessee, May 4th.
Woo!
Oh, she is?
Bridgestone,
Woo!
Bridgestone Arena. So instead of you going to Tilly, come on down to Nashville, enjoy downtown Nashville in the heart of the city, and hang out with Coach same weekend,
Oh,
baby.
there you go. That
See what I'm
sounds
saying?
like a better deal.
Better deal.
Oh my gosh.
Much
Oh my
better.
gosh.
Much
So
better
you
deal.
before
Woo!
before we bring on our guests, I wanted to make sure that we at least because we had been talking about this
Janet
for a couple of weeks,
Jackson.
and
Woo.
I know you're still we're still on
Yeah,
Janet.
okay.
I
Yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to
Go ahead.
I wanted to mention another young lady who is
Okay.
no longer over in Russia. She is definitely here. That would be Miss Brittany Grinder.
And the grind was
So
real.
Reiner. Yeah.
The grind
Griner,
was real.
yes,
With an N.
right.
Yeah.
So, Coach, your thoughts?
Well, Val, as her last name speaks, the grind was real. You know,
Oh,
uh, if you have not, and anyone that's listening to our podcast tonight, obviously the first thing we want you to do is push that button to subscribe, right? That's what you got to do so we can make sure that it's coming to you
right.
live each and every week. That's what we do, growing by numbers and leaps and bounds. But if you have not heard the
Sure.
interview with Don Staley, then you need to go find that. Don put it as eloquent and as real as it could be. And although she thanked the brothers from the NBA that stood up and gave them the voice, but not everyone was really giving them the voice. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
the women and the sisterhood behind the
Mhm.
WNBA, when they said, be quiet, we working on it, at first they were quiet. And then Don said she became a leader, said, wait a minute, if we be quiet, we're doing what they want us to do. They want to, oppress us. And then they'll show us how to move. And then if we don't get her home, then that's because then they can say no one talked about it. So
Mhm.
then that's when they formed the BG23, which is Brittany Griner her number. They formed that BG, and then they started to wear shirts, hoodies, talk about it. Everything was all about BG, whether they won, whether they lost, press conference. And all of a sudden, they got to the White House, and then it just started picking up steam. And it is what it is. And I'm glad to have her home. ESPN had her in the gym today for the first time working out, and I'm
Dunk.
hoping that she's back in there and ready for the first game in WNBA preseason.
Yeah, I got nothing bad to say about any of this. I mean, I think this is a case where you have an administration, as Coach said, they asked for something, and players and those on her side, those who were ride or die with her from day one, they followed that request until they felt like they needed to move in another way. And I can't say that the administration didn't give them the space to move in that way. I mean, I think that in terms of things being orchestrated for something to happen, this is a success. Getting her out of that situation was successful. Now, Coach, as you mentioned, some people were not as educated on this who have platforms, and they did say some things that were out of pocket. But I gotta say, in fairness, once they got some information, they did go back, they did take down their statements, and they did kind of correct themselves. So I mean, I think it's a matter of a lot of people hearing things but not really understanding what happened. It didn't matter the reason that Russia gave for putting her in jail. It didn't matter if it was on purpose or accidental.
Mhm.
She was there. She shouldn't have been there. Now she's not there. That's the straightforward is. And that would be for any American, athlete or not there. That's what should happen. Your government should have your back. Uh,
Exactly. I think the unfortunate part
and,
about it is
and
I
there's
know.
no criticism of like, well, you brought her, but not so and so.
Right.
Working on it, okay? Working on it. Allow that to happen too.
Right.
I mean, don't
What were
because
what were you
because
what were you
hey,
gonna what were you gonna say, Coach?
No, I was going to add, Mike just hit the point right there, is that you got two different scenarios. You got a
yeah,
scenario from a young man, and that's no different than the Val was my sister. And you were let go because you were announced a football player. Because Val's my sister, I really don't care about you. I do care about you, but she's my sister. So sometimes the personality, the personal, and the heart takes over. And everyone wants their loved one to come home. But
got
the
it.
unfortunate side is that, even if they try to get Paul to an exchange. The problem may be, as they've said, and maybe a lot of people haven't alluded to it, is that he was a spy. He may not even make it to the plane.
Well, allegedly,
Well,
allegedly,
allegedly, but
allegedly he was. That's
right,
what they say.
right,
Also, I mean, but what is a fact is that he was discharged for bad conduct from
correct.
the Marine. So when you keep hearing the former Marine, yeah, they kind of leave that part out. They also leave the extensive amount of time he was there and some of the other things that happened with him. And they do so because as Americans, we don't care about that. We care about somebody that's one of ours and making sure they get home. And I'm certainly happy that Brittany got back home. And
Right.
we will
Yeah.
see now someone who is likely changed forever by
Mhm.
this. You think she was an ambassador for the game, for our country as an Olympian then? I can only imagine what good things will come from her in the future.
I was about to be
I'm
on.
looking forward to see
And
it, and I'm glad that she has the freedom
so
to pursue it.
and
Oh
the
yeah,
one thing that I want to just make sure that I make a statement on. I did see the WNBA commissioner interviewed by CBS Mornings. Uh, why am I forgetting her name? Best friend
Gail,
Gail.
Gail.
Gail
yeah.
King.
Yep, yep.
So they're examining the amount of money that the WNBA players make. And the reason why Brittany was over in Russia was to supplement her income.
Sure.
And so that's the real reason I think they should focus in on, because even the lowest salary of anyone that's a bench NBA player is even it's like 2 times or 3 times more than, let's say, maybe a top player with the WNBA. So they're examining that right now, and they're really trying to figure out how they're going to make that work. But it just the only reason why that Brittany was over in Russia was that she was literally playing on the off season, supplementing her income that she was making as a WNBA player. That's something that should be examined. That's something that should be improved. And
Right.
like I said, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that she's back, and hopefully those salary negotiations, along with the players, the player commission, as well as the other WNBA teams, they'll be looking to give more of a higher salary, so that type of scenario won't ever happen again. And it's
Right. Because
unfortunate, yeah, and it's unfortunate that the Ukraine war was kind of at the very beginning of her being, caught up in that situation. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
and you're exactly right on that, Val. And the other thing is that, the only really the biggest ear, eye, and we can see that don't really have to go over there is Candace Parker, our very, very beloved Chicago's own Candace Parker, because she worked an opportunity out with TNT. So she finds herself on the NBA channel with Isaiah Thomas and the guys known on with TNT with Shaq Barkley and those guys. She's working her commentating from the sideline. She's commentating NBA games. So, I'm just proud. And I wish they could either one, find more opportunities and jobs, or two, find more money for these young ladies. They don't have to do that. Because they also think about, they're playing in the WNBA, then they turn around and leave their families again. And they go overseas. Some of these women got kids, they got children. Right. They got to leave them. They don't have any summer vacation because they take it away from the kids, because they walk out of the season. 2 weeks later, they're over in Europe playing in FIBA basketball.
Well, I think one of the things, and I know we're going to get to it in just a second, Coach, is that there are sports that lend themselves to money, at least big time money in the United States and some other places where it's financially feasible to make a career out of playing that sport professional. And then there's some sports where people are committed to it. They're the highest caliber athletes, and they do so for the love of the game. And we often think about baseball and football as Americans, around this time of year, kind of odd. We're getting, soccer, international football through the World Cup, but there are all these other sports. And I remember as a reporter, writing about a lacrosse league, a professional lacrosse league that started. I know it still exists in some form, but there's lacrosse. There are sports like rugby that continue to have a strong and loyal, growing fan base in the U.S. that just haven't hit that level in terms of the financial backing. In some ways, they are thought, I guess, nationally to still be regional sports, where there's certain pockets in the country that really support their teams, support the sport, they understand it, and then there are the rest of us in these other places that don't. There was a play in a game, I believe it was an NFL game, in which the commentators are talking about it. I think it was the Miami Dolphins game. It had to be. Yeah, it was a Dolphins game. And they had the ball there, and you had everybody around the ball, and they said, well, that's like a scrum. And they were trying to describe it, these announcers, God bless them. They were trying to describe it like, and he hits the ball out like a scrum. And then Cheetah, the cheetah from Miami Dolphins, he gets the ball, he circles around, and he runs in for the score. And they're like, that's like rugby. And I'm thinking, is it? What is rugby? What's rugby actually? What's
well, it? You know what?
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out.
Well, let's get to it.
Let's get it in.
I think there's an education that needs to come about. I know that it's a sport that has a immense fan base. As I lived in the Bay Area, and I know there were huge events that would come up in and around the Bay Area where they would sell out these stadiums. And I'm like, rugby? Yeah? And they're like, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, Mike.
So many places.
Coach, go ahead. Coach, go ahead and introduce our guest.
I tell you, Mike, Val, to answer that question, this has been an honor for me to want, and Val and Mike, I want to thank the coach is coaching our own back door at St. Xavier, which we're going to ask. But we want to bring on from the University of Louisville's rugby football team, none other than Coach Kyle Freeman. And also, we want to bring on brother. What's going on, Coach? And we want to also bring on BJ Selby and
BJ.
Devin,
Right.
and Mr. Devin Serona.
All right.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
So let me give everybody a quick background on these guys real quick. We're talking about University of Louisville, and Mike, as you just mentioned a moment ago, about having to play at a different type of conference, and Coach Freeman can allude to that. You know, the University of Louisville, even though they're a Power 5 team, the rugby football team actually plays in the MAC conference. These guys are also the NCF regional champs. They just came off a national championship finalist run. It unfortunately got lost against Virginia Tech down the stretch. They went 11-1 this year. Tremendous record. And the funny part about all this, Mike and Val, the program's only 6 years old.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. That is
amazing. And you got these two young men here, and BJ and Devin. They come from 2-all conference, honorable mentions, and the team is ranked the top 25. And the funny part about it, Mike, you talking about a beatdown. Coach Freeman's going to talk about it. They were beating people up like Mike Tyson used to knock people out, man. Coach Freeman, go ahead, buddy. Jump on this floor. Tell us what it's all about, baby.
No, thank you so much. How's it going? Any questions you have, I'm here to answer. But, you guys are kind of hitting the nail on the head with, we don't have a lot of funding or anything, and we definitely do bring the beat down, but, we just enjoy the ride, really, and it's been a good one.
That's good. Now, Coach.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Now, I looked in your background, and it said St. Xavier. Was that St. Xavier, Chicago?
No, that's Louisville, Kentucky. So St. Xavier.
Mm-hmm. KY. All right.
Yeah, I'm a guess you can say homegrown here. Got to spend a little bit of time in Nashville. Spend a little time down South Africa and overseas, and ended up back here, and just kind of excited to give back for all these guys to be able to do everything they can.
Right, and you got that, with the guys coming and playing with you. How does can you explain similar to what Mike was talking about a moment ago? How does rugby fit into a university like the University of Louisville, and the importance, because you guys don't have the program on the regular Louisville University's, athletic page, and you guys kind of like the stepchild, so to speak. But then you look this year, and rugby and volleyball are the outstanding sports. They're doing their thing.
Yeah, the stepchild might actually get a little bit more better treatment than we did for the first few years. I'll be honest. We were maybe the mice under the floorboards for a long time, so it was bad. We were a club sport, so basically we were just under our student recreation club sports program, and we just had to do everything ourselves. Myself, the head coach Emil Walton, who's absolutely fantastic. He's coached with PR7s, which is one of the professional leagues. He's worked with professional team in Atlanta. Actually, he is an analyst for the ATL team, so he's a very big deal. He's also unpaid. All of us are completely unpaid, but we just kind of decided the day that he took over, we wanted to do it how it's done in South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. We wanted to play good rugby, and we got the guys to do it. And that's really kind of where we kind of kicked things off, is just focusing on the player, focusing on them becoming, students, great young men, and then, good rugby players on top of it. And after season after season, from kind of being middle of the pack to finally beating solid teams and winning conference titles. And then, all of a sudden this year we're number one team in the nation in D1 AA, and we're on this massive nationals run. The university finally kind of moved us into what we call non-varsity. So we're starting to get a little bit more, looked at because of that success. But, it's pretty much all just self-funded, raising from sponsors, and taking care of it ourselves, really.
But before we get to the players, I just want to slip this in, because you kind of slid it in real.
Yeah.
I was down in South Africa. Oh, really?
You slid that in there very quietly,
I
Coach.
know, right? Like, so what was that experience like?
It was really cool, actually. So myself and current pro rugby player Larome White, a guy I played with at U of L, we got to go down to South Africa to play at the Sharks Academy, which is one of the premier academies in South Africa. And we spent summer there training with some of the best in the world, learning from some of the best. And it was just, honestly, I mean, it was my first time out of the country. It was his first time out of the country. So it was life-changing experience, to be honest. Met people and played with people from France, Italy, England, Wales. It was fantastic.
Wow. And I have a really quick question for our two young players that are here. BJ, you're a freshman.
Yes,
and you're a 4-year starter at Father Ryan High School out of Nashville. And then you came into this season and worked your way into being 23, being one of 10 freshmen on the starting roster. So here's my question to you. How did you become interested in rugby in Nashville, of all places? I'm just curious.
It's actually kind of funny.
Mhm.
I chose to start playing rugby because I honestly didn't want to play spring football my freshman year.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to get me out of football, but I ended up having to do both. So
Okay.
it backfired on me. But I've had a great time doing so.
Oh my gosh. And then Devin, our sophomore, you played at Cardinal Gibbons in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yes,
Wonderful.
ma'am.
And spent 2 years in Utah. Oh, you've been around on a mission trip and came into the program the fall of 2021. And I'm just excited. How did you get interested in rugby? I'm just always interested to talk to the players to find out what sparked the interest in this sport for you.
Yeah, so I went to Cardinal Gibbons High School. They wanted me to come play football for them there. So I had football. Then, coach always makes sure his linemen don't get too plump during the off season. So I needed something to do during the off season. So he's like, hey, you should come play rugby. One of the assistant coaches teaches, he's the rugby coach. And well, I did that for 3 years. I did football. Then I go to wrestling and I did rugby. And well, the football coach that recruited me to come play football at the high school wasn't too happy when senior year I walked in and said I was quitting football to play rugby.
Wow.
That's kind of almost BJ's story. The funny part about it, Val, and BJ's being nice about it. And Kyle and I go back because Kyle's here in Nashville with me. When BJ comes out of this high school, I work with his mom. And she's talking to me, hey, my son's in a situation here. The high school is struggling to kind of get him where he wants. So I just say, hey, listen, I know I'm a national recruiter. I recruit a lot. 100%, probably 99.9 to 98% basketball, but I'm never, afraid to pick the phone up. And she said, well, I said, who does he have on tap? And BJ's had, Temple, a couple other schools looking at him on some things, including University of Tennessee. And he said, I really want to go to Louisville because, my classmates, a couple of my buddies were playing football. I said, well, give me a few days. So I nestled around, got Coach Kyle on the phone. He and I got to talking. He's definitely familiar with Nashville. And I said, hey, man, I got this great kid, BJ Selby. I think you're going to absolutely love him, And when you see him play, I think you guys are going to wrap your arms around him and take him. And so Coach said, hey, let's set up a meeting. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, Mom gave me a big hug. And he's signing one of the biggest, opportunities to leave out of his high school to go to University of Louisville. Well, he gets to Louisville, and the first name comes out of his mouth is Devin. So I'm like, okay. So it's like tit for tat. So since you guys have been there and Devin transferring in, and BJ, you being there, Devin, kind of tell the funny story real quick. The day that BJ moved in, and you kind of helped him move his stuff.
Yeah. So BJ, me and him had texting back and forth. I knew he was coming. I'm also the club president, so I deal with a lot of the freshmen coming in, helping make sure they get acclimated. So me and a couple other teammates went over to help BJ move in. And I was currently working at the gym on campus. So I run over on my break. I still got my gym uniform on, and I meet BJ, meet his family. And by the time we got there, BJ had already his friends and family there. There was nothing for us to move. So we were just sitting there like, well, at least it's good to meet you. But he already took care of everything.
That just shows the family and camaraderie that coach has built and what they've done. BJ, describe a little bit as a freshman coming in, as Val alluded to. There's not a lot of people. I don't care football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, as a freshman to come in and have the opportunity to crack the starting lineup. First of all, what was the experience? How did it feel? And second of all, the transition from playing rugby in high school and then moving into practices in rugby in college under Coach Emil and Coach Freeman. How was that? How's it been so far?
I mean, when I first started, when I realized the potential that I had on the team, I was of course very excited. But the biggest difference was that in high school, my coaches let me do just about anything I wanted to in practice. They let me run around, play around, because in high school, in the state of Tennessee, I'm gonna be honest, nobody could touch me back in high school. But
Okay.
He pumping
All right. A lot of confidence there, young man. Go ahead.
I mean, if he don't tell it, who's
He's an
gonna tell
athlete.
it? So yeah, go right ahead,
There
man.
you go, Mike.
Yep.
But as soon as I had my first practice, that's when I knew it was different. Because the first thing we did, we ran something called a Bronco. And Lord, I wouldn't wish if you're out of shape, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That
Okay.
And you thought you was in shape, right?
I thought I was in decent shape, and I learned quick that I was not. But the biggest difference, besides the intensity in practice, was probably the standard that we were held to as players and as individuals. Because like in high school, you're able to, like I said, I was able to just mess around. I didn't really have to focus as much as I did in college.
Mhm.
And of course, things are drilled into you, but in high school, they'll give up. They'll stop after a couple days, but consistently, it is drilled in different things every day. And it might be something new, but it might be the same thing over again.
Right.
And you just have to be able to be coachable. That's the biggest thing.
Let
Well,
me just jump in real quick because I want to connect back with this. I mean, you all are talking about a sport. Still, I know it has these pockets and tremendous fan base in certain areas, and mentioned some of those. But I know both of you mentioned playing football and now playing rugby. What's the difference? What have you noticed as a difference in the play, the type of you talked about conditioning, the type of conditioning you have to be in, and in terms of just the your overall enjoyment in playing the game? Can you contrast, what it's been like to play and practice football and now to play and practice rugby?
Well, I think for me personally, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy. Well, I was when I first got here. Than the conditioning BJ talked about. I've slimmed down a good bit. So I played offensive line in high school, and basically, you only get mentioned or talked about when quarterback gets sacked. So
Right.
it got really hard for me mentally to enjoy the game of football because the only time coaches ever talked to me or said anything to me is when I messed up, and it was tough for a while. But the thing about rugby was, no matter what, it's always a team game, and there's always a love for one another. I remember after my first game, we literally played this team. It was a tough game, 80 minutes, just hitting, running, tackling. And afterwards, we're cooking up hot dogs with them after the game, just talking. And I was like, man, this is different than football. This is not just a game. This is a way of life. It's a connection and people that you're going to be with for your whole life. I think that's one of the things my biggest takeaway between the difference of football and rugby is an on and off the pitch family. And you can't just have that one superstar and expect to make it a far way. Like if Patrick Mahomes just won a rugby field, he still needs his Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to succeed. He can't do it on his own.
There you go.
3 people on a rugby team to go out and do what we did this year and what we're going to do next year.
And BJ, what's your thoughts on that?
Mine is honestly pretty similar. Football is very individually focused, like Devin said, and of course rugby is more. It takes all 15 people on the field. You can't win with just one person. And I mean, of course, if you have one person that's very skilled, it helps, but not just one person is going to win you a game.
Sure. And the question I've gotten, and Coach, you may be able to answer this, Devin, know you're a BJ, you know, looking at this sport of rugby, and I don't know the numbers. Coach, you may have it, looking through the conference of young African-American males, as these young men just said, who are playing a predominantly football sport, trying to move over to a rugby, and all that. How do you guys see what you've been able to accomplish? Especially, Devin, you're the club president, so obviously Coach Freeman and Coach Mill has a lot of high respect for what you've done. How do you guys embrace or get other young African-American high school kids interested in rugby so that, you know, the sport as it's growing, so that we know that we can, if this is something that they can look forward to getting a scholarship with?
Yeah, I think it just continues to go down to what I talked about earlier. It's a family thing. I think a lot of times growing up, an African-American man, you think football is your only way out of the city. You know, I got to get a football scholarship or I got to get a basketball scholarship. And now with rugby, it's another opportunity for kids to be able to play sports, which almost every kid I know loves, and to find enjoyment with it. Because the coaches I've seen in rugby, you know, Coach Kyle, Emil, my head coach, Rocky Miares in high school, they cared about me personally as a person. And, you know, I think that comes down to the smaller numbers on a rugby team than a football team. The coaches are able to really work with you one-on-one and understand what you need personally. And I think that's one of the greatest things is the coaches care about you because, well, there's less of the yous.
We had a comment that came in on the text. I think I threw it up there earlier, but y'all didn't get to respond to it. It says that when they said you was going to play touch, but then they hit you with the Bronco. So that Bronco, huh?
Yeah, I had to test the fitness day one, so, you know.
There you go, Coach. I know, and I know what you're trying to do, Coach. You're trying to make quick, baby, because that's what I do. I told my guys already, don't come back from Christmas with too much turkey.
It was interesting to see the eyes kind of glaze over when we're like, hey, we got to do fitness. They were like, oh.
Well, I tell you the one thing, you're going to love what Devin just said, because Devin said we're going to redo this again next year. So if you guys are 11-1 this year and into that national championship game, and Val and Mike, they lost the national championship game down the stretch. And by the way, they're all being modest. Val, Mike, they beat some teams this year like 63-3.
Wow.
Yeah, they put spankings on people.
That's amazing. They almost sound like North Central College football. Man,
I know, because they're Cardinals.
So one kind of final kind of closing question I have for you, because it was really interesting what you both said about kind of what this sport is and what the sport means, and the idea that Coach Tony, as you said, bringing, you know, people who may have not considered rugby before and getting them interested in the sport. Well, you know, there's money that's involved in that, and there hasn't been a lot of funding for stuff. But I gotta imagine a Coach Freeman, the kind of record you're posting there in a sports crazy area like University of Louisville, you win. And I mean, NIL deals aren't restricted to basketball and football, right?
Oh, we coming, Mike. We coming. We coming.
I mean, you guys put up the record, and somebody's gonna want you to talk about, you know, how you can, you know, run them over or take over the scrum or whatever it is, you know, put points on the board. Let's like our championship rugby team.
Well, Mike, just to tell you on that real quick, I'll jump in here real quick on that, Coach. You know, I've already signed or getting ready to sign BJ and Devin to my NIL company. And I've got over 21 athletes across the country right now, working on deals with Lululemon, working on deals with Adidas, Nike, and a few others. I was just telling the guys earlier today with the rugby side of the house, it's great because I'm talking to Brute, and I know they're not a Brute kid, but talking to Ralph Lauren and some other items. And the NIL has gone so huge that if this was in the way that it was set out to be, then Coach Freeman's group would have an opportunity to take advantage of this, right, Coach? Because it was only set up on the D1 side of the house originally for football, basketball, for those what they call money generating sports until they eluded everybody. And now the opportunity is going to be great. So by the time we get these guys back on Interludes again, hopefully they'll have some pocket change in their pockets.
I mean, this is an international sport. This is not just an American sport. Rugby has fans all over the world.
Like
so
soccer.
You do well here in the U.S. I mean, the world is yours.
And they got the right coach. They got Coach Freeman and Coach Hill can put them right there.
The record speaks for itself. I mean, don't hit me with the Bronco, please. I don't want the Bronco. Right? That just sounds like something that
I'll say last thing. We're just facilitators. They're the guys that put in the work. They're the ones that go out there every day. That's the beauty about rugby is, biggest difference between it and football, I think, in my opinion, is we don't call plays during that day. So it's all on them. We give them the tools and they get to succeed with it. So it's all them. It's all everything this season.
I like Coach, that. And Coach DJ, I expect some of my apparel. And Coach Freeman, I'm gonna need some of my University of Louisville. I'm gonna walk around with my rugby gear on, so I'm gonna need some of that.
We'll get you some.
Right. We're at definitely. Well, I wanted to thank our players, Devin and BJ, for joining us, and Coach Kyle Freeman. Congratulations on such a great season. I really appreciate it. And thank you for educating our Interludes Extra audience about rugby. Please come back and see us, especially when you are back on the rugby field.
On the pitch. Yes.
The pitch. Guys, thank you for joining us. Coach, stay with us for a second. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I love when you bring people on like this, Coach, and it educates me because I know, like Michael was saying, rugby is an international sport just like soccer. So and for that, I believe that the University of Louisville will definitely give financing to that team, especially if they put up the numbers.
Or sponsors will come.
Sponsors will definitely come.
And the thing about it, Mike and Val, the thing about what got me, again, is why I asked that question, is that there's not a lot of us,
Yeah, I know.
But Coach, Coach, there are two sports that Jim Brown was known for, the great NFL Hall of Famer. He was known for football and lacrosse. He was a champion lacrosse player. So this idea, some of these non-traditional sports, for a time, tennis was a non-traditional sport. And early in the league, Val Du Bois highlighted one of those so-called non-traditional sports for people of color in golf. And, had us, learning all this about golf in the year. Turned out Coach Tony is some, amazing golf player. Of course he is.
Exactly.
So,
and I keep those gloves swinging. But I tell you what, Val, real quick, I tell you what is amazing, as you just mentioned about the young men on that, is the question that, Mike, that you answered. These young men were football players. And as Devin said, we grew up, right? Always thinking the way out the hood, right? The way around the corner is run on that 100-yard diamond and that square, rather, that 100-yard football field, or go in the gym and put up shots. And now here it is that if my high school coach don't like me, I can just walk across here, and play a little rugby, and I have an opportunity. Same thing I did in football.
If this becomes, if rugby continues to grow and becomes a scholarship sport at universities, things will change. I mean, there's so many, sisters, I say, hopefully people understand what I'm saying, playing volleyball.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And water polo. I mean, those because they're scholarship sports now. I mean, that's your ticket for education. I'm
gonna snatch us volleyball player, but on it. I'm gonna snatch us a volleyball player. I got a couple more, but Val, Mike, as always, I love you guys, family, and we're gonna always continue to educate this Interludes audience. Again, if you continue to hit that subscribe button, you'll continue to get surprises.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you. And what's your words, man? What's your word?
Hey, I love y'all, fam. But in the words of the great man named Martin Lawrence, and man.
There goes Coach. Oh
There
my
you go.
goodness. I appreciate him. Yes. Learning
Man,
about
this is
rugby.
like this has been the international edition of Interludes Extra. We started out talking about Nigerian families taking over in England, and then we went to rugby. I mean, my goodness.
I know. And what you gonna talk about
we can't
tomorrow?
do? Anything we
I don't
can't
know.
do?
What you gonna talk about tomorrow?
What we're gonna talk about tomorrow? We're talking about we're gonna talk about the year. We're gonna wrap up this wonderful 2022, and I'm gonna tell you what was important about this past year. You know, some things keep coming at us so quick, we don't get the time to like reflect on it. And you know, by the time you start reflecting, it's a new year. So I want to reflect on what has been important about this past year. There's some things that I'm sure you probably forgot about that I don't want you to forget about. I want you to carry that forward so we all moving forward and making progress in 2023.
That's what I'm talking about. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Find Your Voice, a podcasting course for beginners that'll be starting up toward the end of this year. At course,
it stayed up there.
I'm totally shocked that it did. And our audio podcast, we are showing on our YouTube channel, our Interludes Facebook private group, and we're also on LinkedIn. And thanks to Mark Lee, we are on the Pod TV Roku channel and celebrating 100 episodes, but we're probably well over that now.
Well over that.
Where you can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and anywhere that you listen to your podcast. I believe tomorrow I want to talk about the cuffing season.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, stay tuned for that. I'll be listening. I'm raising my curiosity. Okay, so we're gonna hear about the cuffing season from Val the Voice, who's been traveling and globetrotting. So sound like you got stocks around the country now, huh?
Yeah, all right. And what's your name, Mike?
How's that stock market going? Going up for Val, huh?
I don't know. And what's your name, Mike?
My name is not Val the Voice Johnson, but your name is, and this has been Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesday with Val the Voice Johnson and Coach Tony and little old me.
Thank you guys for joining us, and let me give you guys a heads up. Next week will be our last live Talk on Tuesday show. It'll be the Christmas show, and we'll be having some fun. Join us next week on the 20th. Peace.